Hi folks, and welcome to the Woods and to the Filmomilk channel. And well, Don put it on the tube that he came here because of my blog, where I did a little article on the Jagdnicker variety of knives in Germany, and I think this would be an interesting thing to make a video about. So here it is, and this is a little bit of a really emotional topic to me, because well, the first knife I ever held in nature was the knife of my father, and well, this is it. This is the. He also always carried a pocket knife, or several. He was a knife nut himself, but this is the fixed blade knife he always carried, and he used it for a lot of things. So didn't quite manage to restore the blade yet, because I'm a little bit reluctant, because this is he wasn't too sissy about his knife. He just sharpened it any which way, and not with an angle grinder, mind you, but this has seen a lot of use and abuse, and he used it for construction work, and obviously I sharpened it, but these knives are really capable, even though they are most certainly deriving from times immemorial. I will come to that in a little bit of time. And he always had this on him, and for snacking, for preparing food, for whittling wood, for carving. We used to go out into the woods, and it was sort of a ritual that he always cut some hazel stick for himself and for myself, and that he whittled and showed me how to put some ornaments into the bark and things like that. And this obviously had a big impact on how I see knives, and how I see nature and the woods and something. And so this is actually the knife was made by a corporation in Solingen, which sadly did close their doors. I actually made friends with Dr. Henning Ritter, who was the head of corporation, and really nice people, and family corporation, and we had a lot of wonderful chats, really intelligent people. He himself was a cultural scientist, and also had a big impact on how I see knives now. And I want to say thank you, not only for the knives, but also for the time we had together. Seems that I cannot find him anymore. But on the other hand, well, that's how it goes. We will come back to that later, because I have something rather interesting for you. But I will refer to that later on in the video, so stay tuned. And the next knife I want to show you is something, well, it's halfway political, because don't worry, I won't get into depth, but this is actually my kid's knife, and my father bought it for me in a holiday in the Alps, where we used to stay at in Styria, in a city called Schladming. Fond memories. I grew up there, and we did a lot of hikes there, but we also befriended the people there, and we went there every year, and I didn't miss anything. Actually, it was just something I really loved, getting there in winter and summer, and staying the summer on a hut, a cabin, and on 1600 meters or so, and strolling through the mountains, just being there, and getting in the silence, and so and carving, sitting by raging creek, and carving stuff, and or just having a snack, and or climb on the mountain tops, and enjoy the vistas, and so there's really fond memories. Haven't been there for what's that, 23 years now, and I deeply regret that that's one thing I regret about being poor, not being able to get there anymore. So well, but things being like they are, I'm not complaining. So, but these are fond memories, and this is the knife I got as a kid. And nowadays, kids' knives always have these blunt tips, and they are halfway blunt, and parents are not too fond of kids whittling, and this is one of my first knives. It's not the first knife, but the first knife was even bigger and even pointier than that, if that is at all possible. And if you look at that, I think this recurve blade is really awesome still, and I really love it. Obviously, I treasure it a lot, and actually I did use it a lot, but in contrast to my father, I always took care of my knives, because this one always meant a lot to me. Didn't sharpen it, by the way. It's just been in a box for some, what's that, 10, 20 years? Don't know. When I don't know when I took it out the last time. And it's not just pointy, because that's not a false grind. That's actually more of a dagger than a knife, and it's the edge here is sharpened, and it's not very sharp now, but I think you get the picture. And that's really, and you know, that's really evil that I carry this. It's forbidden. And to think I carried this as a child. It was always on me. It was always in the pouch in my pants when I was hiking, and I never used it for anything but whittling and snacking. Why is that so? Because my father took me out, put a knife in my hand, and on the one hand taught me how to whittle, how to prepare food, how to use my knife, but also would have whacked the shit out of me if I even pointed it towards other people. So, but now said, this the handle is made from beautiful sambar stag, and I really love these peened over rivets. And the corporation, by the way, is another Solingen corporation named Widder Solingen. The steel is 1.4116 and tempered to 56 to 58 HRC, and yes, I checked because I wanted to know. The steel on this here is cryo-treated 1.4109 and heat treated to 58 HRC, because that's what Hubertus warranted. Cryo-treated for 109. And it's a rather simple steel, but this is really resilient because my my father did a lot of silly stuff with it. It's just, well, so putting those away because I'm standing beside a trail and I don't want to freak people out. There are a lot of knives lying before me right now, so I'm a little bit nervous. Another one I got from one Rainer Morsbach, who was then head of corporation for otter knives in Solingen, and this is a really special special knife because it's a really old blade. He salvaged from the depths of his smithy, and the handle was actually fitted in World War II when there was a scarcity for deer antler, and this is not deer antler, even though it looks the part, but it's jigged bone. And the steel is crucible steel, which is from pre-1920, and it's just a joy to work with. Also, not I didn't drop it. I sharpened it, but I didn't drop it. And this is H Beach, by the way. I need to make a sheath for that because I really want to carry it, and it's really light, but also very capable. This is something that's really good about the Jagdnicker varieties. The tip is rather pointy, which lends itself to really great carving capabilities. You can use it for spoon carving or something. The grind is a high flat grind to almost zero. It's the factory grind was going down to not even 0.2 millimeters. It was the tiniest of micro bevels, and it's a high flat grind, and actually quite resilient. I never experienced any, didn't use it hard yet, but I never experienced any rolling or something in the edge. So they did do something really great, and in the tempering, which is really. I don't want to fall for the trap in days. They don't make it anymore like they used to and stuff. And that's not what I'm saying, because there are a lot of awesome steels, and it's not comparable. It's just something else. It's but the layout of the knife is really cool because it's, on the one hand, it's light, it's dexterous. You can really move it around. It's suitable for a lot of stuff, and it can be always on you. It's sharp and resilient, and well, why shouldn't you use a knife like that? Is what I'm saying. So putting that away too. I need to be a little bit careful because I don't have a sheet for that. In the same tradition, this is a pre-1900 Solingen make. I don't know if you see the stamp still. This was, as far as I am informed, used in the trenches of World War One, and by actually not as a weapon, by the way, because it was used as for eating and for doing a lot of stuff. Actually, the guy who owned it then would have used it as a weapon, I think, and this is something. This variety of Jagdnicker is a whole different beast, because it has a half tang, half red tail tang to be exact, and tang only goes this far, and it's just sort of a nail you could whack on. You put on the deer antler, the bolster on the deer antler, and sharpen the tip of the tang, and you just nailed it on. And the professional knives were made with rotsil, which is a compound of colophonium or shellac and lard and some cement, and which is cleaning my nails. I'm a swine. Which has shortcomings because it's not as durable as modern epoxy, but also has really great benefits because you can easily restore these knives. You can, and I would recommend, if you come across a knife like this, that you gently heat the handle with some hairdryer or something, but please be careful. Don't crack the deer antler, and lube it beforehand with some oil or beeswax or something. It's good for the handle, and you won't cry your eyes out if you because it also cools down the handle a little bit. But if it gets to above room temperature, you can simply pull off the handle, and this is a good thing. And then you can check for the tang if it is rusted, which happens sometimes on this variety of knives. And this is made from a really highly refined crucible steel with a beautiful false edge. I don't know if you can see this properly. And this is one of the hardest knives I own. I haven't sharpened it properly because I don't use it for hard work or something. It's actually just a heirloom piece, but you can see the geometry is similar to the last one because it's just the secondary bevel, even if it has been, well, it has been loved. So the secondary bevel is a little bit thicker, but it's still 0.4 or something, and it's just, these knives cut like mad. It's just, well, putting that away, I come to another one, and I can which I can show you what I mean with taking it apart, because I did on this one, because it was loose in the handle, and this was something, Sinut wasp, easy spurred, the hornet. This was loose in the handle. I got it on a flea market, and this is pre-1900s too, or pre-1920s something, because this is the old stamp too. And you can also see this by way of the ferrule. This ferrule isn't cast, but it is forged. It is so you can see that you can date it better. And actually, I haven't found it in me to make a butt cap yet, but you can see what I did. The tang was relatively rusted, and I cleaned it up, and it was a little bit thin, and at that time I was a little bit worried about it failing, so I put on brass tube as a makeshift tang and filled that with epoxy on one end, and on the other hand I soldered it in, and in order for it to withstand some leverage, and would have been a shame if this had gone to shit. If you look at that, This is also a blade made from highly refined crucible steel, and this is, if possible, even sharper, and it came even sharper than the other knives I showed you, and this is just a joy. You see, it's just making the finest shavings with just two fingers. And well, this is crucible steel again, and you can see this also has this wonderful false edge. Maybe it was the same corporation, and I put on a handle of stag antler, which has a story it's in itself, because it is from the place where we used to stay in Austria and Styria. And the sheath I just bought for it in order to keep it protected. I always wanted to make one, but on the other hand, I don't carry this knife because it is a heirloom piece, and I think it is of cultural relevance, and I don't think I will. I should. It's something about responsibility for upcoming generations. I hope that someone would receive it as when I am no more, someone would keep it as a cultural heritage, and this is not a tool for me. It's a cultural. It's a token of cultural heritage and information on these times. It might also have been used in World War I, but I cannot possibly know. It's just and there are a lot of bold claims involved. I got another one, which is rather old, and you can see this if we are dating this. You can also see the bolster is hand forged. It's not it's not soldered, but it is hand forged. It's hinting of an origin pre-1920 or pre-1950, because they also used up a lot of provisions from before the war, because everything was destroyed, and so righteously so, by the way. And this is another one. I do not quite know if this actually is a stainless blade. I don't know. There is a little bit of corrosion. If you look at that, a little bit of patina going on, but it might also. It's really hard, and this morning I was working on it in order, because it is rather blunt still. But even so, if you need even so, it still, due to the geometry, it is really resilient, and you can still make shavings with it. I need to thin it out a little bit, I think, and we'll do some etching in order to find out what it is. Actually, this also has this beautiful long false edge. The thickness is quite thick, and you also got this nail tang, and which is perfectly all right with a knife used for snacking, or as I referred to you, was used for stabbing animal which was held by the dogs into the neck, in the nape of the neck, in order to kill it off, like so, and or like so. You put this thumb on this cross piece, and or on the or you used your index finger, and it rested in your palm, and you had a lot of security if you did that. But for use like this, the stick tang is perfectly okay. And as I said in another video, there was a whole snacking culture evolving around this. And at one time, when I was young, it was customary, and didn't know what happened. Now I'm saying old fart things. When I was a lad. But when we were in Bavaria or in the Moselle region in Germany, there were these restaurants where you could, they are called Biergarten or Straußenwirtschaft in Germany, which actually is a street restaurant, a roadside restaurant, which is outside, and you can order beer, or in the Moselle region it is often wine, because it's a wine region, and you get good products, but simple products. You get some sausage, some cheese, some radishes, or cucumbers and onions, a little bit of mustard, or some what's it called now? Radish thingy, which is called Kren or Meerrettich in Germany, and as a spice or something. And often you get some schnapps with it, and beer, and often no cutlery, and you bring your broad. It's if you did that today, people would at least give you some funny looks, because they are afraid of everything that cuts. And and you would prepare your radishes and cucumber, cut your bacon and sausage and cheese, and have some fresh bread handy, and prepare your meal with your knife. And often there was a show-off, and people took out a really wonderful knife, and they showed off, and look at that, I got some garnets, or what was also very popular was some figureheads on the pommel of the knife, like and very popular were some figures like Wolpertinger. The Wolpertinger is something that's some sort of a fantasy creature, and there are local legends about the Wolpertinger in Bavaria, most of them with a little bit of a twinkle in your eye, and some also outright horror stories or something, because they derive from far older legends, and the way we talk about the Wolpertinger today is actually from the 19th century, or maybe the 18th century. It's not something really ancient. I'm not saying that. I'm not quoting that. Please stop it, because a lot of people tend to want some really old Germanic legend that's traded from. No, there is no tradition. That's the problem. That's the culprit of it all. That's how colonialization works, and that's how industrialization works, and so the topic for another video, not for the Jagdnicke. But the Wolpertinger is a half squirrel or rabbit or fox. Often there is a fox in it, and there are actually stuffed animals where they did some really weird taxidermy with antlers sprouting out of the head of a rabbit, and putting on a marten's teeth or something into the mouth of the rabbit. And putting on hoofs or claws and stuff, and there are legends about the Wolpertinger. Even if they are stuffed, they can get alive in the dark and stuff. Maybe a topic for another video. Really interesting topic, and but there were motive pommels like that, or you had a deer figure on it, or a boar, or every kind of wildlife imaginable on the pommel of the knife, and or you got rock crystals or teeth of deer, and or something like that, something precious, something that would also be in the so-called Freisenkette, which is another thing. This is an amulet chain that was carried with traditional attire and often was connected to the watch. And really another really interesting folklore topic, but you would find several things like rock crystals or corals or deer's teeth or marten's teeth or something, also in the pommel of your knife, because these had an apotropaic meaning, and this is something. I'm coming to the highlight of my collection, and this is a really special knife. I got, actually, this was my first eBay purchase, and this was just insane luck. And if you look at this is a rather massive knife of the Jagdnicker variety, and although it looks rather modern, this might as well be well over 200 years old. And I got it like new. And why is that I think it might be? I'm not claiming that it is. Don't get me wrong. I want to be really precise on that. I saw something that was rather surprising to me, and there's a stamp not saying Solingen, although a lot of knives are coming from Solingen, but Reil. And Reil is a little community in the Moselle region. And then I was looking at the bolsters, which is another thing you want to look about when you're dating a knife. And this one isn't forged. This is hand. Well, this part might be forged, but this funneling here is actually file work. Same goes for the bolster. It's coming a little bit loose. And this is not nickel silver, but silver copper alloy. And nickel silver was invented in the 19th century, and this isn't. So the blade itself shows a patina that is also really interesting, and actually if you take this to hand, this is a whole different beast to all the other knives I have, because it's far bulkier, beefier, and far sturdier than the other knives. And I suspect, I haven't checked yet, that the tang is at least reaching up to this part here. I need to use a magnet for that. And also the handle is really thicker, and the bolster's more sturdy, and butt cap too. The knife is extremely sharp, and it's also it's just gliding through the wood, and like that. And actually it arrived with a lot of rust on it, and I cleaned it up a little bit. Need to go over it once again. It's just it just had been lying around, and actually I couldn't resist using it because it's just a joy. It's just an outright joy. It came with the handle really greatly fixed, and then I was looking up. I was just wondering, because this couldn't be that recent, and then I was looking up whether there was sort of an industry in the community of Rail, and I came across. At first, I found nothing, and I was like, well, there must have been something, and because it says Rail, why should anyone stamp a knife like that if this wasn't a sort of a quality, a sign of quality? And I came across a gun manufacturing site which produced for the Prussian army from 1790 to 1871. And since this is this uses silver, and I think nickel silver was invented around about 1820 or something, and which was widely used, especially in the cutlery industry. And then I looked a little bit, did a lot of research, not only on the internet but also in libraries, and was feeling a little bit like Gandalf in dusty caverns where I looked through ancient scrolls. No. And this was forged that actually the building still stands to date, and was after the smithy, there was a smithy in it, and after the smithy closed down, there was a hardware store in it. But one where some old conker in a grey kirtle was capable of knowing every little screw by its surname, and counseling the hell out of everything you needed. And in this smithy, it was produced, and it was produced from a really highly refined steel that was used for sabers and swords, and which was, because I don't think the Bessemer process was yet widely in use. So this might be the equivalent, and I'm not saying it's wood steel. I'm not saying it's pullard, but the equivalent of woods, because it was so highly refined, and with such a high carbon content that it's essentially the same principle. And this is simply, it's just mad. It's just mad. And I own a lot of knives. I own a lot of modern knives too, but there is also this legendary factor with this knife involved, and actually I won't use it for bushcraft. It's not. It is another Helen piece, and it's just. I hope it enjoys being out in the sun a little bit and being used as it was intended to. And this is a true historical piece, and which to me is just sends shivers down my spine that I am capable of being able to whittle a little bit with a lot of respect. Standing here talking to a box and whittling aged birchwood with it, and actually I had one of my fits and I chopped antler with it too, and the secondary bevel isn't existent, and there was no rolling, no denting, nothing. This is something that's really really intriguing to me, because this is what a smith was capable of doing if he had the time, if he had the provisions and license. And this knife would have costed an arm and a leg in these days. This wasn't anything cheap. This was something that cost the owner, the first owner, most certainly it cost him dearly. But given it's still pretty much good to go, and I could use it, and I could use it hard. This is a sort of value, the creation of value that just renders everything absurd that we can offer, and even our high-end knives must live up to this standard. And also the sheath is something really interesting too, because it's just a plain, well, but very well made, thick leather, stiff leather, something like half-tanned leather or something, which is also well, there's a little somewhere ate a little bit of it, and but this is due to, and I wrote that on my blog already, this is due to the knife being carried in traditional attire. And traditional attire for men had a little pouch on the right outside of your thigh, and often it was highly decorated, and this is what internationally is known as Lederhosen. And because this is what these are leather pants often, but there are also textile examples and something, and it was carried in a pouch in the leather pants or the traditional attire. And this is something. Another thing is the Lederhosen is not a traditional attire at all. It's not something that's that old. It's just it's from the late 1900s. So the time period where this has been made ranges from 1790 to 1871. And I think it was 1850. I don't go to the blog, and there's a post about this Jagdnicker where I wrote that down. I don't know if I have a lot to keep in mind these days, so excuse me if I don't remember correctly. But it was around that some nobility wanted to do some peasant reenactment or cosplay, and invented the Lederhosen attire. Before that, people were not capable of affording a tailor-made pants from deer, from chamois or deer leather or something, because it wasn't that they were able to hunt. They were not. They had no. The only occasion where they would hunt was when they had to drive the stag or something, or the the prey for nobility, and then they wouldn't take home anything of this. They would just be obliged. And so this is not traditional attire. It's not something genuine and stuff. And I personally am convinced that these knives that I just showed you, and I got 2 left, which I will spare for the end of the video, have a huge cultural relevance. And knives in general are demonized in these days, and this is not, well, my stance towards this is these are not just knives, but they are really essential part of our culture. They play a role in hunting culture. They play a role in folklore as an apotropaion, or as an amulet against evil. Or there was a special custom, the so-called Drudenmesser, which was a knife that was widely in use against a female evil spirit that was strangely flying out at night and sitting on your chest, and people must have been really afraid of this. And if you stuck a knife, especially a Druden knife, which had inscription like Jesus hominem salvator, or 9 moons, or 9 crosses, or both, there's a saying that negen sterren en negen maan greifen alle Teifen an. I'm not Bavarian, excuse me folks if you are Bavarian and I got it all wrong. Which means 9 moons and 9 stars attack all evils. And also the steel in itself had apotropaic properties, and so this is not just an everyday item, which is culturally relevant as is, but it is also a huge part of folk belief and huge part of cultural customs up into the modern age, up into the late 20th century. It was a big part of snacking culture, and that's by law has been destroyed. Now you might say that knives are dangerous items. You can do a lot of silly stuff with knives, and I'm not naive, and I've worked with children all my life, and even if they had the ideas beforehand, after I worked with them, they did no more, because I owe that to my father, as I mentioned, as I said, who took me by the hand and just taught me what not to do with a knife, but not primarily so. For he primarily taught me what to do with a knife, what to safely and socially adequately do with a knife at a very early age. I got my first knife, I think it was when I was 3. It was a sharp knife, and I cut myself. Obviously I did. And so my father was halfway capable of being empathetic, but he also told me, that hurt. So you don't want other people to get hurt, so don't do that to other people, because you realize, you cut yourself, that hurt, and you don't want to do this to other people. And this was a sort of a brutal teaching, but a teaching that was sustainable. I don't do this to children. Obviously I don't, because it would be against the law. not that my father would have cut me. That it just happened. I was whittling and was cutting myself, and then he was relating that to me. So, which was a little bit harsh, and I still have a lot of things to do with that. But on the other hand, I never. You have seen my children's life, and I never had even had the idea of stabbing anyone. It was just cool to have a secondary edge for whittling or something, or cutting rope, or using it for other tasks, for scraping or something, because you didn't want to ruin your main edge, and that was just practical. And well, I recently came across something. In Germany you can no more carry any knife on a train or a bus or something. It's highly illegal, and that's not. And I want to show you something which is another treasure for me, even which I even treasure maybe even more than many of the knives, because this is catalogue of the Hubertus Corporation. If you look at that, and it's like beautiful hand drawings, hand etchings, and this one is the products for Boy Scouts. This is for customs and folklore, and people did like a little bit of romantic too, because this was some actually the early day cosplay, trapper, Wild West romances and some stuff like that, or cowboy, yeah. And but look at this. I don't know if you can see this. And look at the knives depicted. If you look at these, well, yes, there's a hunting knife, a big one. There are Jagdnicker varieties, and beautifully edged sheaths with a flower motif. Also a little pocket knife. Actually, I do own one of these, not from the same corporation, but really lovely. And look at the etching. The etching shows well distinctively and tastefully equipped woman smoking a cigarette with a cigarette tip, and having a nice drink, and having her handbag ready, sitting in the department of a train. And the fact that this is an advertisement, and the etchings are there to refer to something that is so commonplace to the people receiving the message, that it can address them. The advertisement must address me if I read this, so I must connect with the product. I must have a certain connection to the product. So this must have been really commonplace for a lady sitting in a trains department to feeling some kind of need for a knife. And given today this one, I couldn't even carry this tiny little Victorinox, which hasn't any reputation as a weapon at all, and it is not suitable as a weapon because it's not capable of stabbing anyone. I could throw it to your forehead and it might cause some injury, but not by stabbing or cutting. Or I must have a really great amount of criminal intent and a really great amount of criminal energy. But who has this? So, and what you're seeing here is these are knives that would be pretty much well suited for really hard bushcraft tasks, really big ones. And this is not an answer which I have to offer. This is not something that I say, well, that's the thing, and it's not an opinion that I want to utter, because but the question is, what's different? People must have used the train and must have used these knives on a train. Several years ago, it was perfectly normally for Boy Scouts carrying their big knives on the train. They just had it on the belt and they got their uniform, and there was nothing wrong with that. So that's the question. Just a question, maybe a little bit food for thought. And yeah, obviously I want you to question things. I also want to question what I'm saying, and I'm always grateful if you have something to add to this. And it's not that I want to make any political statement, but it's just a food for thought, and question this. Thing is, in Germany, there are massive cuts on social integration. There are massive cuts on education, on integration of disabled persons coming up. And I have worked in social welfare. I've worked in street working. I've cared for poor children. I've cared for children that were on the brink of being homeless, in the fourth biggest economy in the world, or third biggest, I don't know. We are not poor, that's what I want to say. Homeless children, poor children. And I'm just saying this. It's not the statement. And they want to cut down on funding even more. Now what happens if there's no education and no one like me gets paid for? And I admit I take this personal, because I've paid for healthcare insurance primarily, and I worked for my healthcare insurance primarily all these years. And often I was dumpster diving and collecting bottles for getting the fees back, in spite of sometimes working more than full time. Not just recently, but since 20 years. This is not complaining, by the way. It's not whining. Someone had to do this, and I personally felt obliged, so it was a little bit silly too. But I was the one telling kids not to stab anyone with a knife. I was the one telling kids not to get violent, but to make good things, to go snacking, to make a challenge out of who could cut his radish into the thinnest slices, or carving a little wood spirit, or showing off the latest beautiful knife, instead of using it for criminal intent. And they didn't feel the need to do, because they had other forms of expression. They could do art, they could do and they could fit into culture and actually feel it. And it's a difference between just telling them and forcing them to be a part of the society, but to ask them what their idea is and what they think is their place, and maybe moderating a little bit, but not too much, because they are the future, not me. In just 20 years, or maybe 10 years, maybe next week or something, I I roll over and I'm dead. But the kids aren't, and they have to live on this planet. That's the reason why I collect these old Jagdnicke knives, and why I talk to a box about it. These are really grave thoughts, and I think if you are connected to your culture, and that doesn't mean, and this is another fun fact, that the Jagdnicke variety actually shares a lot of common ground with the morphology of the Persian card, which is cognate to the karda, which is a buy knife in the kukri sheath, and which has been a part of Persian hunting culture for since, I think, maybe since the Iron Age. And the karat is morphologically, that's similar to German Jagdnicke. And in German there is a ritual cry. If you just kill the animal, you cry out halali. And halali directly, with no detours and or anything, directly derives from Arabian halal, which means may he rest in peace, or like the law, according to Muslimic law. And a lot of guys advocating traditional German hunting culture are really xenophobic and really misogynic and outright following a Nazi ideology. Not everyone, just a few people, just 2% or something, like always. With every given group of people, you get 2% of assholes. That's it. But it's actually something that means connection, that means interconnection between the cultures, because German medieval hunting culture derived from Arabic hunting culture, from the paradise gardens where the sultans hunted domesticated deer in a sort of Muslimic ritual, which had a deep significance. And nowadays we tend to judge this because it's a killing of animals and stuff, but that's wrong either, because and this hunting cultures were interwoven and interconnected, and we owe a lot to Arabic science and culture. There would still be some flatheads living in the same room as our cows and pigs, and in the same style as the pigs, in order to get some warmth in, were it not for Roman culture and Arabian culture. We wouldn't have chemistry or astronomy or cosmology like that, or mathematics, or if it weren't for Arabian culture. And also the hunting culture. And the hunting culture, the knives are just one marker of an interconnection between the cultures. And this is something that I really want to advocate, because it's not about one identity. You can have your identity, but this is not exclusive. You don't need to exclude every other identity if you got your identity. This is a very German thing. But it is also a connection to other cultures. It is an open culture. If you're preparing your snacky snack in a beer garden, if you had license to do so, still whittle away. This is something that a lot of people all over the world do. This is a very human thing to do. It's not something that is exclusive. And well, this is what I want to say with this. And but coming back to the knives and coming to a sort of conclusion, this is another interesting knife I want to introduce to you. This is a knife that I found in the Alps. It's originally, you could see some traces of a stamp. It's a modern knife, of course. It's a stainless, and really great thing that it was stainless, and found it in the deep woods. Someone might have lost it. Was a Linda Solingen knife, a really small and handy knife. The blade is just some, what's it, 80 millimeters, something. Really cool to keep in your bag or something, and also very sharp. Has a full tang and beautiful sheath too, and also a story I really treasure, because it was a nice outing. I was I was off trail, I admit, but I was sitting in an ancient alpine pine forest, and was just listening to the birds, and was just I think I was having a snack, and it just lay in between a blueberry bush and a little bit of moss. And I remember there was a very awesome stump growing in the mossy and beardy with lichen and stuff, and it was a really awesome mystic atmosphere, and I really treasure this knife too, but more for personal reason. And this is one knife I actually do use, and which I have no scruples and carving hardwood, for instance, or using for chopping, which doesn't make sense, obviously, but and this is what I mean. If you are allowed to do something, and if you're trusted, you are able to make memories, and these memories are what make you resilient. And if you're resilient, even if you're poor or something, this helps you keep your composure. Last thing I want to show you is my personal favorite Jagdnicker, and I actually do use it a lot in the kitchen. And if I turn it over now, you can see why. Because the blade is really tapering to next to no thickness at all, but it is surprisingly resilient too. The blade is, and this is very interesting too, made from a steel most people would absolutely dismiss, because it's a carbon steel, but it's a C40, a C55. This is 0.6% of carbon in it, and a little bit of iron, and that's about it. And normally a knife like this would have no edge retention at all. But it is forged in a very distinct way, with just one heat, and bam. So and it is, well, it is not, it is the steel is very much refined by that, and the temperature is not that high too, and the tempering is made with really great care, and I think it's even selectively. This knife is claims to have 56 to 58 HRC, and it has. You have to strop it frequently. This, but recently had to sharpen it for the first time, and it is well, 15 years old or something. 15? Well, 15 years. The scales are beautiful Zamba stack. It's a full tang, of course, and actually for bimbling around in the woods, it's got lovely long edge line, which you can use to good effect if you're carving. Makes for really good and controllable shavings and nice long facets. Great for foot prep, great for spoon carving, great for a lot of things. And really, the handle gives you something to hold on to. It's not too short and not too cramped. And look at these beautiful Zamba stack scales. And wow, I love these knives for the stories, for the cultural relevance, for the heritage they mean to me, and for the stories and the memories I made with them. And this was a rather long video because it is these knives are packed chock full of relevance, and you haven't heard half of it now. I could make a series of maybe 10 videos, and we wouldn't get to a conclusion yet. And this is something that's really these knives have a lot of significance, and this is what I want to say. It's don't let cultural relevance be taken from you entirely. There are always things you must submit to, but don't submit to everything. It's not, and I'm not telling you this is the next conspiracy theory. Please don't quote me on that. It's just the questions I asked. It's not, and I don't have answers. I have questions. Should be enough to make you very wary about what you think. Even if you get to a conclusion and you think that's right, stay open and discuss it, because this is part of the picture. That we get mad at each other and don't no longer discuss things. If I look over there and I say, well, there's a deer, and look at that, there's a deer, and you are standing beside me and you say, well, that's a stump. And I say, no, that's a deer, that's a deer. And you say, no, I insist this is a stump. And then we could both go over and say, well, and I would have to admit maybe that was a stump. Or you would maybe admit, well, the stump is moving, so, and either it's a tree beard or a deer. Or something else. And maybe someone else is with us and can tell us, well, this was not treebeard, this was not a deer, but it was, say, a wild pig. And then we could look for the tracks together. And maybe I tend to forget what things mean, and some fourth guy or gal would say, well, I know this is a wild boar. And then we get a solution for a problem. And this is how I mean these things. But it is important that we stay in communication. And the internet is an awesome thing for that. We can talk to each other, but not if we are constantly doom scrolling and putting too much information into our brains. So I'm not. This is the reason why I'm not getting mad at anyone not subscribing to my channel or liking everything I say, because if you want this and you like this, take your time and discuss with me. And you don't have to be agreed. And I would really welcome this if you are not agreed with me, because I don't know everything and I don't see everything. On the other hand, another question I have is, why then is the internet flooded with bullshit? If it's such an awesome tool for communication and connection. This is not an answer too. And this is, another thing is, I don't like Bowie knives a lot. But the history I find really intriguing. And I want to talk to you about Bowie knives. And I would also buy myself one if I could afford it. A decent one, not some silly thingy, which I already have. But something decent. And the history I find really intriguing. And actually a lot of Bowie knives were produced in Germany, in Solingen or in Passau or in other regions. And so this is not culturally exclusive but inclusive. And we could use this to talk to each other and connect with each other and get to know each other. And maybe we are differing on several topics, but we have some common ground somewhere. And this is why I do this. This is why I don't talk German. This is why I talk English, because more people understand English than German. And I can talk to German people, all right. I can go out on the street and talk to German people with German. And but maybe you guys don't know about the German Jagdnicker, so I tell you about the German Jagdnicker in English. Because in this way we can connect. I don't talk Arabian, but I also would love to talk to some Arabian guy about the Persian card or the equivalent of this is the thing with knife nuts internationally, because we tend to talk it to each other. We don't tend to stab each other. Never seen that with collectors or knife users a lot. We tend to go to the blade show and goof around and talk shit and get to know each other regardless of what country we're coming from. Another question, not an answer. But I hope I gave you some food for thought and maybe some insight into German culture, and maybe I will make a video of a traditional German broadside made with a Jagdnicker. Maybe that'll be fun. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to, because I could show you some silly challenges, maybe, because I'm not quite good at them. But just an idea. If you want it, let me know in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and even if it's a really long one, I see, but actually a really important topic to me, and but I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you stayed until the end, kudos to you. Was not easy, I think, but I hope I get something intriguing for you. A little bit for food for thought and a little bit of information on a culture that just recently died out. I hope you take good care, stay sane and healthy, and enjoy the forest, and see you soon. Bye.